Welcome to episode 2 of our ServiceNow webinar live stream. In this episode, we're going to talk about filters. What you may or may not realize is that ServiceNow pretty much runs on filters, and just about every tool, both inside and outside of incident management, leverages filters to display what you see on the screen. This also marks our first week where we're going to try a live broadcast on YouTube, and you can see there is our URL. We don't have the Zoom bridge set up, but as we haven't advertised the call yet, the good news is that no one is going to call in anyways. But in the future, we will be using Zoom, and that is the information available for Zoom. As always, we have our email address of askservicenow@ucdavis.edu. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about the different components of a filter, the anatomy of what makes up a filter, using quick filters, and creating a basic filter with a couple examples, as well as saving the filter for a future use. So let's get right into it and get started. So the first is going to be the anatomy of what is a filter, and in this case, we'll start an incident. We will look at all filters, and we'll give it a second to fire up. And the first thing we're going to talk about is showing and hiding a filter. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring up our dialog box, and from here we can create parameters for that filter. We'll look at an existing one. In this case, let's show all tickets or all incidents that are assigned to me, and you can see that that active is set to true and the assigned is set to me, Jason Fearing. This is what is referred to as a breadcrumb. So each sort of caret that moves from left to right is going to create additional layers of filters. And the next thing that we're going to take a look at is sort of leveraging some quick filters, and I'll pass that off to Kevin, and he'll be able to talk about that further. Kevin?
Thank you, Jason. Everything's going well this week with us. Hopefully it is for you as well. Okay, so one of the things that filters does for us that's really powerful is that it gives us the ability to quick filter. And by that means we can edit existing output of a filter to narrow results to other values. In the example that Jason has loaded here, the active is true and assigned to himself. Let's give the hypothetical situation that he's trying to find all of his incidents that are currently waiting third party. To do this, what you would do is you would take your mouse and hover over, in this case, the state column. Awaiting third party happens to be the top incident, helps us find it a little easier. We're going to right click on this particular state, and you're going to see the option in the context menu that says show matching. This is going to make a modification to the breadcrumbs and the variables for this filter, which now then reruns itself and generates the corresponding results. What we can also do is, instead of show matching, we can filter out. So I'm going to return to the previous variables we had, and then I'm going to find awaiting third party, but this time I'm not interested in that data, and I'm going to filter out. Again, the breadcrumbs are updated, as are the filter settings, to see everything but awaiting third party. And you can continue to filter out until you find the necessary information. When doing queue management or incident management, one of the important things to deal with when dealing with incoming incidents that are created by email is getting rid of spam. It's unfortunately something that we have to deal with on almost an hourly basis. The easy way to resolve an incident as spam via a filter is to simply select the checkbox next to the incident, and then there are a set of actions at the bottom where you can close the spam. You can also right-click context and close the spam there as well. Now, this context menu also has the assign to me. So when you're closing a spam, or you're assigning to yourself, just be careful which one you click on. Assigning to me will change a ticket that is not already assigned to a person to the current authenticated user in the browser.
And because I'm actively working on this ticket, we're not actually going to close it as spam, because I'm pretty sure that instructor would not be happy if we decided to close that one as spam.
Exactly. So I'm going to return our breadcrumb here at the top to the all menu, just to kind of put us in a clean slate. What I'm going to do is build an example filter. So I've been tasked with finding out the incidents that are currently assigned to one of my colleagues. He's out of the office today, and I'm interested in seeing what he's working on, just in case the customer calls back or we're curious about the response time. So I'm going to create the expander here, and I'm going to, first off, make sure that the ticket is active. I'm going to apply an AND variable, and then I'm going to use the option assign to is, and then what we're going to do is we're going to type in the name of a technician. Now, for the sake of choice here, we're simply going to put in my name. Jason, would you please do the honors?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. There you go.
Alrighty, thank you, Jason. So I'm going to hit the run command, and now it's going to pull up all of my active incidents. Now, I realize that, oh shoot, well, I'm only interested in the incidents that have either waiting on third party, work in progress, awaiting user info. I don't need resolved at this stage. Although that is considered active in ServiceNow, that wasn't the intent. So there's two ways to go about this. You can go up into the filter, click add, and go through the steps to find the necessary categories. Or you can use our previous information to find a resolved incident and filter out. And so now I have a full list here of incidents that are currently active in one state or another. Now, this filter is all in good, but as an example filter, it's nothing if we don't have a way to save it. So in the upper left-hand corner of the filter interface, next to run is a save button. That's going to expand a save as name. You can put anything in there, doesn't matter, and then you can click save. Those filters will then be found under your filters category in this list here. And now I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Jason. He has a second example that he's going to run us through.
Yeah, and before we do that, we'll go ahead and save this filter so you can sort of see it in action. We'll just call it Kevin Webinar. I have the keyboard, so that's why there's a little bit of a handoff here. We'll save it. You can see that it'll kind of close it out, and as Kevin mentioned, you can see it is listed here, Kevin Webinar, and in this case, as is the default, the personal filters are listed alphabetically from A to Z. Thanks, Kevin. So let's take a look at the second example. What we're going to do is we'd like to take a look at all of the tickets, sort of expanding on show me tickets that are assigned to someone else. I, in this case, would like to see tickets that are assigned to members of my team. Maybe I'm going to backfill for a couple of people. So we can expand on that in one of two ways. We can spring up the individual people, and that can be difficult if you have a lot of people in your team. And not an and, we want an or, because if I had done an and, a ticket can't be assigned to two people at the same time. So we're going to do another individual on our team, and then we'll start to also do a third, but because there are 10 other people that I would put here, that's going to be a really ridiculous filter to have to manage, plus as people come and go, to go in and edit this regularly. So the alternative is to just add the group, and in this case we would use the assignment group functionality, and we're going to do the group that all of these people are in. We will give it a second, and you can see here that there are a fair amount of tickets, almost 1,200 that are considered active. And just for clarification's sake, an active ticket is any ticket that is not closed. new, work in progress, awaiting user info, awaiting third party, and resolved, they are all considered active tickets. But in this case, I only want to see work in progress tickets. I don't care about all of the other ones. So we'll do that show matching functionality, and you can see that our number goes down to less than 50. Our breadcrumb continues to update, and I can continue to refine this where I could say, well, let's do actually just show me work in progress tickets owned by Joe. But maybe moments later, I realized that I would also like to add an additional person, and I would like to add Kevin back. So you can see here that while we started with a rather large funnel, we are working our way down to a smaller version of the data that is being displayed. There really isn't a wrong way to do a filter. The important thing is that there are a lot of choices, and it's helpful to understand what the choices are. Now, a lot of these fields are possibly not used by your team, so thus they're irrelevant. And in addition, we've showed very basic things with is, but you can see that there are also additional criteria here. Another one that is helpful is even more if you look at state. So even these choices will change based on what you pick. So just be mindful of that. Filters is something that I think a lot of people don't leverage to the best of their ability, and they just use what's kind of on the left side of the screen. But you can really make using and viewing ServiceNow a lot easier with leveraging filters, and it will also allow us, once you understand how these work, to build on reporting as well as customizing the ITIL homepage, which is what we talked about in last week's episode. So before we close out, Kevin, is there anything you wanted to add?
I'd like to circle back on our homepage discussion from last episode. Now that we have a custom filter that we just created, the Kevin webinar one, I'd like to circle back and go to the homepage, and I'm going to walk through the steps to find that exact filter to add it as an object to the homepage.
Sounds good.
So we're going to go up here to UC Davis, and I am going to edit Jason's poor ITIL homepage here. And in the first column on the left-hand side here, these are overarching objects within the ServiceNow structure. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about the majority of them. What we're looking for right now is just filters. Filters can actually be run against multiple types of records, but we're only concerned with incidents today. And then you'll notice that in the parentheses here, we have different styles. Now, these are default column styles for filters. Traditionally, what you see when you're using ServiceNow via a standard desktop web browser is going to be the default. But there are other views that are designed for ESS, mobile, those sorts of things. So that's why one filter will have many entries. So with that said, I'm going to scroll down here until, hey, look, there's our filter. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the top one here, and then I'm just going to add this to the very top of his homepage. Now you could add this to the side column, the right side column, or even at the very bottom. I'm going to add here, and now, in case you want to make changes, it doesn't close this window right away, or you want to add more content. But I'm going to go ahead and close this, and you'll see that at the top of his homepage, it shows the title of the filter, Kevin Webinar, and it shows exactly what we set in our previous steps. And then if I scroll down, eventually we'll reach the end, and you can kind of see the divide here between actual objects on the homepage. And that's how you would take a custom filter and then turn around, find it, and add it to your homepage.
Awesome. All right, well, hopefully that was helpful for everyone in understanding how filters work. That concludes this week's presentation. Thanks for joining us. Have a good week. We will see you next Wednesday.
See ya.